Hi YouTube, what's going on? So today we're doing the first knife review of the series of Schrade knives that I received from Schrade. And make sure you guys go check them out on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'll have links in the description below. But we're going to take a look at the Schrade SCH501s, which stands for Serrated. And it's a cool little knife. I've really been enjoying it. I'm going to take you through some cut tests, see how the edge holds up, and then kind of give you my final thoughts at the end. So stay tuned. Just tearing through this cardboard like nothing, even with that partially serrated edge, which I'm not typically a fan of. Some tape on there. Yeah, so it's got, can't feel any hot spots. I saw a review online that this jimping back here created a hot spot. I don't feel that. They must have girly hands or something, but I don't feel any kind of hot spot there. So processing cardboard is no problem at all. That's a a daily task you might run into using this knife. Still got a very sharp edge. Now, this is the 9CR18 MOV steel, which is an upgrade from your typical 8CR13. And look at that, it's still super sharp. And it holds an edge a lot better. I mean, it's more comparable to 440C steel. It's got about the same, it's actually got more chromium than 440C, AUS8, VG10, bunch of steels I compared it to. Has a little bit less carbon than 440C, but like I said, more chromium and very similar properties throughout. So it's more comparable to 440C steel, which for an $18 knife is unheard of to get that good of a steel. I mean, you look at Spyderco, Kershaw, CRKT, they all use 8CR13 and everything, so this is an upgraded steel. So cutting the cardboard was no issue, went through it no problem. Like I said, didn't feel any hot spots. Let's grab some, got some paracord right here. So I'm just going to do like a pull cut through the paracord. Oh yeah, no problem at all. We'll use the straight edge. No problem at all. This is actually 550 cord. This is actually the good stuff. So, I mean, plowing through it, no big deal. So those are a couple of things you might encounter, in your daily use of this knife. You're processing cardboard, processing cutting paracord, obviously opening packages like we just destroyed that box, no big deal. So overall, I mean, one thing I'm going to test, and we'll get this on film here in a minute, is this model. I mean, you can see I took out the pocket clip because I've been experimenting with sheath carry. It does have a tip down clip that I will show in the knife as well. I'll put it back on, but it has a glass breaker here, and I'm actually going to go out and test see how well that actually works, so stay tuned. I couldn't find any spare car windows or anything like that, so I did find this glass tile. I'm going to test out this glass breaker, see if it works, or see if it's just there for fun. Well, you can see there, trashed that glass tile up pretty good. So I'd say it's effective. Let's get those gloves off. I did scratch the, obviously the glass breaker up. Come on, focus there. Pretty good, but it works. So, broke up that glass tile, no problem. That stuff's pretty thick too. I did scratch up the G10 a little bit, so, oh well. But yeah, definitely, glass breaker works. What do you know? It's functional. Trying some pull cuts on this wood, see how those do. It's doing just fine. Be like it better if it was plain edge in this scenario, but the combo edge is doing just fine. So bump the camera, fail. Plenty sharp still. Alright, let's do that carpet over because we were doing that standing up. So this stuff's pretty thick too. No big deal. Do one more cut here on this part. Yeah, those serrations really tears through that carpet. So, you know, I've always been a hater on serrated edges, but I gotta tell you, doing some of the cutting with this knife and testing, I don't mind it, the combo edges. I still like the looks better, but it tore through that carpet like nobody's business. The only thing I think, the negative on the combo was processing wood. I wouldn't want that. You know, it was a little harder than it was with the straight edge part. The carpet, the cardboard, the rope, it tore right through that. So, alright, so we've done a lot of cutting. Some pretty hard stuff on steel, especially that carpet, some thick stuff, and see how sharp we still are. Yeah, we're still pretty sharp. Yeah. Definitely not as sharp as we were. Now let's get a new piece of paper. That's the bomb. These cut tests are always fun to do on camera because sometimes you just ultimately fail at them. So it's tearing the paper now more than it was before. So it did lose a little edge, but just wanted to show you after I ran it through the work sharp on the 6,000 grit belt, which is pretty much like a strop. I ran it through probably like less than 10 passes, and it's already that sharp again. So there's your benefit. I even was able to do the serrations with the work sharp, which is a benefit of the work sharp. Straight edge is sharp, and it's a 6,000 grit belt, so it's not like it's really sharpening the knife, it's just pretty much stropping it, and it's back to very sharp again. So there's a benefit to that steel right there. Alright, so we cleaned up our work area, put the clip back on. This is kind of the clip you get with this knife. It's a tip down only, which is one negative that I will say. And it's only for right hand carry. So most companies these days are most of the time are drilling it for at least right and left hand carry, or at least tip up and tip down one side. I prefer tip up. I mean, like I said though, I'm trying sheath method, so it wasn't bugging me too much with this clip, and it's pretty long. I think the clip's overly excessively big. It doesn't need to be that big to do the job. So that is one thing I would change on the knife. The glass breaker works. See, I really dinged up that G10 breaking that up, but like I said, oh well. And the glass breaker is functional. I do like the look of the knife, the nice G10 scales. You've got this stainless steel insert, which is that you know, black wash type finish. The flipper works really well without any wrist. It's a manual flipper. It is on nylon washers. I didn't take it apart, but I can look in there. I don't know if you guys can't see probably, but it's on nylon washers, so it's still pretty smooth. Ergonomic wise, really good. Fits in the hand really nicely. Forward and reverse grip is very comfortable. So that's a nice plus there. I mean, ergonomics is great on the knife. You get a 3.2-inch blade, so just a hair under 3 1/4. Like I said, this is the partially serrated, obviously, version combo edge. I would prefer the straight edge, and you know, that's what I would actually like to pick one of these knives up for my own personal use, and that's probably what I would get. So you do have stainless steel liners. They are not milled out, which is not surprising at this price point. I don't know that I would expect that. If they did have that, I'd be incredibly surprised for the money. It's kind of a feature you see on, I'm getting a lot of glare off that light. Apologize, trying to bring this in. There we go. Sorry. Just gonna make a slight adjustment here so we can get rid of that glare. There you go. Weight on the knife. With the pocket clip attached is 5.2 ounces, so it is kind of a heavier knife for the size. It feels substantial in your hand, though. It actually feels very solid and tough. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like it's going to break. You know, it does have pretty good sized liners, pretty thick liners on there. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by the weight. So it is a little heavier for its size, but, you know, again, something you can overlook, because this is what I would consider a tactical style folder. It would work fine for EDC. The blade is, you know, 3.2 inches, good size for EDC. It would work just fine for EDC tasks, as I demonstrated. But it would also work good as a, you know, like I said, a tactical folder, or, you know, just a general use, you know, outdoors folder even, it would be fine. So, liner lock has not moved. It's got good lockup. It's about 50% lockup. So, nothing too crazy there. You do have a lanyard hole here. It's one of those like square style, so it might be a little, you might have to gut the cord to get it through there, but it does have the ability to do a lanyard. I know that's a big deal to a lot of people. For me, it's not a biggie at all, but functional glass breaker. So yeah, good flipper. I don't know what else to say. It's the only negative that I give this knife is its weight is a little more than it should for its size, and the pocket clip design. Being that design meaning the clip's too long and it's not adjustable to other you know, tip up or tip down carry or left or right hand. So I can see why with this design you couldn't do left hand carry, but you could easily drill for tip up carry. Maybe take some away this design element here and just have this more flush, and then you could, you know, put that in there. So looks like the glass breaker is removable too. You've got screws here if you wanted to take that out, but there is no standoffs. There's a stop pin here, and I'm guessing, and actually that's one way that the knife is held together, so I don't think you'd want to remove that. But overall, for, like I said, under a $20 knife, you're getting a heck of a lot of blade for your money. The steel 9.8 CR18, it held up good. I mean, probably just a little bit better than 8 CR13. Like I said, the based on its composition, should be closer to 440C, but as we all know, with heat treating, that can make a big difference. So if the knife wasn't properly heat treated, the steel may not, you know, perform to its abilities. So something to keep in mind. It is a budget knife, so this is one you're going to have to sharpen, you know, after using it. That is the trade-off of paying $20 for a knife versus $115 for a Spyderco Manix 2 that has S110V steel that you'll probably never have to sharpen. I wouldn't say never, but it would go through all that stuff I did without any problems at all. So that's your trade-off, you know. I think for a budget knife, if you're on a budget and you're looking for a good folder, the Schrade is definitely a good option. This is the 501s. They do have the 501, which is just the plain edge version. which I would actually recommend over the combo edge. But those serrations did come in handy a little bit, so I guess it kind of depends on the type of work you're doing. If you're laying carpet, definitely the serrations should be nice. If you're cutting rope a lot, the serrations are nice. But if you're just doing typical EDC tasks, the straight edge will perform just fine on those duties and is a lot easier to sharpen. These can be a pain to sharpen. I do have the means to do that, but not everyone does. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at this knife. So that's going to wrap up my review on this Schrade 501s. I do recommend it for the money. For under $20, it's hard to beat. It's got good design elements. I do like the look and feel of the knife quite a bit. I like that it's a manual flipper, that it flips without any wrist required, and it's even just on nylon washers. Even if you threw some brass washers in there, it'd probably be even better. So, alright guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for the review of the Schrade 501. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and we'll see you next time.